Hello everyone, I'm Ione Butler and I'm the founder of Uplifting Content, and today I'm joined by the lovely Kelly LeVeque. Kelly, thank you so much for joining us.
It's my absolute pleasure. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure, and thank you for the fabulous name. What, like, totally off topic, like, is it French, obviously? Do you have a French descent?
Actually, it's my husband's last name. So,
okay.
Yeah, so my maiden name was Brandlin. And so when we met and fell in love, and I was like, I'm absolutely taking your last name. The L's and the E's, it all just works with Kelly. So
it's perfect. You did that right. So my last name's Butler, and I dated a guy one time whose last name was King. And I was like, oh, if we got married, I'd go from a butler to a king.
Perfect.
But we didn't get married.
Yeah.
But cool. So welcome, and would love for you just to tell us a bit about yourself and what you do, please.
Sure. So I am a holistic nutritionist and wellness expert here in Los Angeles. I write for a number of blogs. I see clients. I have a private practice here. My company's name is Be Well by Kelly. I've been doing it for about 5 years, but doing it full time for 2. So it started as my passionate side hustle. And then in September of 2015, I was able to leave my corporate career in cancer and genetics and make a full transition into health coaching and consulting in the wellness space. So it's amazing. I'm like, knock on wood over here. It's been a really positive journey. I just authored my first book. It's called Body Love. It's on shelves now at Barnes & Noble and where all books are sold. It came out on June 27th. So I'm really, really excited about what the future holds. I'm always trying to share information about nutrition, but specifically the biology of nutrition, so people can feel food freedom instead of feeling like they're looking at an eat and do not eat list. Once they understand the science, they can kind of set themselves free.
Exciting. I'm excited for you. This is
Thank
fabulous.
You. Thanks. A lot has happened.
Yeah. So there's tons of things I want to talk about. But I was just at a retreat in Montreal with some really wonderful humans with all sorts of skills and talents. There was a bunch of amazing nutritionists, doctors, coaches, all sorts of people. And so I would love to just touch on how you made that transition to corporate and how you went from that to then making this your full-time thing.
Sure. So I graduated from university, or we call it college, in 2005. And I had almost an 8-year career in cancer and genetics. So when I was going to undergrad, my parents advised me to, go into the business side of biology. Don't try to be a registered dietitian. You'll end up working at a hospital. You'll make not a lot of money. You won't be able to support yourself the way you want to. Living in Los Angeles is really expensive. And you'll work with people that don't care as much and aren't as proactive. They just didn't see it as a viable career. So I took their advice. I mean, I was young, maybe 18, 19, 20 years old. And I went into the business side of biology. So I worked in cancer and genetics, and every single day, my job was to bring new technology to oncologists. So we had technology that allowed for the doctors to get the feeding pathways of tumors. So instead of an oncologist throwing all chemotherapy agents at a client, or a patient, in this case, they could do targeted treatment. They would know what exactly was feeding that tumor, why it was growing, and use a targeted treatment chemotherapy, which would take out the toxic side effects of getting everything all at once, which I was really positive about and really loved. But my true love has always been health and nutrition. Probably since I was a freshman in high school, health was my favorite class at USC. Nature of Human Health and Disease was my favorite class and my best grade. So you think that there would have been a light bulb on right there that this stuff sticks for me. But for some reason, I think I was a little bit scared, being cut off and knowing that I had to pay for my own apartment and my car and my gas and my insurance. And parents were like, have fun. This is fly little bird. So, so I went a little bit more of the safe route. I worked for really big companies, Johnson & Johnson, Stryker, Hologic, and I ended in personalized medicine with Agendia, which was a company out of the Netherlands Cancer Institute. Really, really amazing technology. But my job every day was to read PubMed research. So I was reading the studies on cancer, but determining whether those studies were correlation versus causation. Did they have a significant p-value? Was it showing a good outcome? And from there, once I learned how to do that, which is not something you learn in school, I was able to mine or like go into PubMed research and go to the original sources of nutritional research.
That's what publicated medication.
It's public medical records, basically. It's PubMed research is really what it is. And you can, if you don't want to look on PubMed, you can also, there's a Google version called Google Scholar. So you can search studies in Google Scholar, and that'll, then you'll have an understanding whenever anyone writes an article like turmeric is good for you, or studies show that, for example, a new study just came out showing that 2 meals a day is better than 6 meals a day. And that study was showing that not only do people have lower glucose, lower body fat, lower liver fat, increased insulin sensitivity. I mean, that kind of a thing would come up in an article, and then that article would be hyperlinked to the research article itself. So I was able to kind of get into the research articles themselves and decide for myself what was relevant and what was just kind of hype, or, because people can make a claim, but if the study is bad, it's, it's not, it is what it is. We can all kind of find a study that supports our claim, but is the study good or not is really important. Right. So, anyways, I've always loved this stuff. Obviously, I'm already geeking out about it.
Yeah, you love it. It's great.
But one of my best friends from college knew that I loved it and was like, you need to stop talking about this stuff at parties. You need to just go back to school for it. And so that's what I did. I went back to school at night and started this side hustle called Be Well by Kelly. I was sharing healthy recipes on Instagram. And my whole message is, it's not about deprivation, it's about enrichment. So learning how to build a plate, learning how to add things to your plate to make yourself really feel full and calm so that you can do all the tasks that you want to do throughout the day between meals. So I'm actually less about 5 to 6 small meals a day and snacking, and more about eating meals that fill you up, calm you down, and fuel you for 4 to 6 hours. And so that's about enriching your plate. Like, do you have a healthy fat? Do you have a healthy protein? Are there vegetables and fiber on your plate? Because those are the 4 things that actually elongate your blood sugar curve. So I think my message was a little bit different than most people. And I worked with my first 6 clients for free, just trying to say like, okay, I'm going to put all of this good energy out there and try to help people that need my help. One of my clients was a bride getting ready for her wedding. My very first client, she lost 30 pounds and has kept it off, but it wasn't about it wasn't about deprivation. It was about understanding the way that her body digested food and how that affected her hormones and how that affected her hunger, and learning to add to her plate and have a little bit of light structure so that she could feel good. So,
and you were doing this at the time that you still had your corporate job?
Oh yeah. So
your 6 clients. Okay, cool.
Picture me in scrubs and then leaving on a lunch break, changing in a Coffee Bean or Starbucks bathroom into like cute clothes, and meeting my clients, sitting down with them during my lunch break, hour and a half. They would leave the Starbucks. I would sneak back into the bathroom, put my scrubs back on, and head over to the OR to see one of my oncologists in clinic. So it was like that for 3 years. I was constantly putting out information. I reached out to a number of other blogs. I wasn't just blogging on my own. I was just reaching out to blogs here like Well and Good, Chalkboard Magazine, Mind Body Green, LaurenConrad.com, and just saying, hey, you guys put out health content. I'll write some articles for you for free. I'll keep you up to date on the newest studies. And I was bringing something that a lot of other people weren't bringing, which was study-backed research and a really easy, positive outlook on like how to implement the new science. Instead of saying like, coconut oil is going to kill you, it's more like, hey, coconut oil is good for you. We do know that saturated fat can raise cholesterol in certain people with a genetic mutation, but hey, these are ways to implement it into your life and keep your balance. So that was kind of my thing. And then by September of 2015, it was like, I had so many clients and I didn't have any more time in the day for my corporate job. And I probably could have left my corporate job a year earlier, but I was too scared. Which is pretty normal, I think.
Yeah.
But I finally did. I finally decided to take the leap. And then I had a little bit of a freak out and was like, wait, now I'm an hourly employee without a 401k or health insurance. And, how am I going to do this? So, but I did it. We hustle and we save and we sell cars sometimes if we need to. And, and we make it lean and make it work, and then things happen. So I'm really excited. I mean, knock on wood, I'm so thankful for my clients. I've had some pretty amazing people that I've been able to work with. I have contracts with studios, so I get people ready for movie roles now. It's
fantastic. That's fun.
Yeah. So I got the guys ready for X-Men this year, which is, get them in a leather suit. You're like, okay.
That's the best job ever.
Yeah.
You have to be there at the fittings just to make sure they fit.
No, I hear from their agents if they don't.
No, so. I really think that you should definitely need to be there to make sure that this is happening properly.
I know. It's probably a good idea. Maybe you should come into town and help
I think they might need my help too. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's funny, and then I've had a lot of women who are pregnant or just had a baby. Molly Sims had her third child. Jessica Alba's pregnant. So it's beautiful times in these women's life, and really fun to support them and make sure that they're nourishing themselves the right way. So
I love listening to these stories, because it's so often, if you hadn't have found that strength to kind of pursue what you wanted, you would not be here and having all these opportunities. And there's so many people that I know that just have such visions and dreams and loves and wants, but that fear of, taking the plunge. I was just at dinner with some friends yesterday, some people visiting from England, and the guy works in a bank, and he in London, and he was talking about, I said, well, what is it that you're really interested in? He said, golfing, but there's not really much money unless you're a top golfer. And I was like, well, have you thought of starting a business or something? And he just went, oh, I just don't really know that I can do that. And it's that kind of nervousness, that energy. And I'm like, of course you can. You totally can. I don't know. I feel like some people who have corporate jobs probably work harder than me sometimes. Do you know what I mean? It's I'm doing it all. I'm doing it for myself. But when you are in a stressful job working for someone else, that's kind of harder than doing your own thing. And you're totally capable of it. But I think the great way that you did it was just to slowly incorporate it into your schedule. Because for me, that's massively important. And that was a struggle with acting. If you don't have your bases covered, if you can't pay your rent, if you can't do those things, then it's really hard to do anything, because you're just stressed the whole time. So, right. It's great that you had your job, you had your work, and then you could start to build this on the side. And then when it was enough, then you take that plunge. So
right.
Really fascinating.
I definitely had a soft landing. Yeah. I think that people, and I get a lot of people that will tell me or email me, I'm so inspired by you and the business that you've created in such a short amount of time. And I kind of laugh, because I'm like, it's actually been 5 years plus a year of school, 6 years in the making. I didn't just pop out of nowhere. It's just a little bit of a tipping point with the book and the press and everything like that. But I also think it's really important too, is I didn't have the pressure on my clients to be to pay my rent. I was able to do it for free. And then my corporate job was able to pay for my website. It was able to, get my insurance for working with clients privately, and my business cards and the things that you have to pay for, like an LLC. You're like, wait, I'm not making the money to do this. How would I be able to afford that? So I definitely suggest, when people want to make a career change, to give themselves a soft landing. And I know it can be really stressful when you don't love your job. But my suggestion would be even if you don't, say you hate your corporate job and your corporate job has 14 hours a day or 16 hours a day and there's no side time, fine. What else do you love? Do you love yoga? Could you work at a yoga studio to fund a little bit of your own practice or whatever it is that you want to do? Because when you think about it, your clients can feel that pressure, I think. I never had to have clients sign up for multiple sessions. I earn their business every single time. That's really important to me to this day. So I work with them for an hour or an hour and a half. And then I say, here's a link. If you'd like to book me again, I'd love to work with you again. Let me know. This is kind of what keeps people accountable, or, holds people accountable if you'd like to continue. But I really like to earn it. That's how I know that I'm doing a good job. So that's just kind of my personal MO, but
yeah, great advice. So now tell me about Body Love, the new book. It's a fantastic title, and I would love you to share something about it.
Yeah, thank you. Honestly, it makes me really sad when people lose, you know, weeks, months, years of their life because they're unhappy with their figure. And they're constantly reaching for the next best diet or the next quick fix or, cleanse. I feel like that feels a little bit like a pendulum ball because they end up cleansing for a certain amount of time and then they binge themselves back into this, whatever it is. Maybe you're juice cleansing a week before a bachelorette and then you're in Mexico eating chips and guac and drinking all the margaritas. And what people are feeling like is that this will help me find balance. Well, yeah, it might balance you back from that binge, but like balance is really just like a small movement off the midline. Like you had a glass of wine with friends one night, you book a yoga class the next morning, and the idea of constantly adding to your life is really important. But I meet with people that want it to be perfect. Like they want their ball to stop. Like just stand still. Everything's perfect. Everything's in line. I go to my workout. I eat this way. I, get all my work done. I'm not stressed out. I meditate. And even just thinking about that type of structure, it's awesome, but it's also a little bit stressful. And they need to have that fluidity of saying, it's okay to have a glass of wine. What can you do to add positivity to your life? Always looking to just little bounces off the midline is that balance. And so the book is teaching you to find that balance by understanding blood sugar and understanding on a biological level what that looks like. For example, if someone were to go out to dinner and they were going to have like pizza and pasta and wine and they're the kind of person that says like, okay, I was good all week and it's Friday night, so now I'm just going to blow it out. I like to explain on a biological level, that's all breaking down to blood sugar. And so, pizza goes up, pasta takes your blood sugar further, wine a little further, dessert a little higher, and then you're going to come crashing back down. And the biological rebound to that is that you're going to crave more carbohydrates and sugar. You might be full of insulin, a little bit hangry. And if this is a brunch situation, you're not going to want to work out after that. You're going to want to Netflix and chill. And that's not going to make you feel so great about yourself. So just understanding how on a biological level to balance your blood sugar and really elongate your blood sugar curve. So it's more like a rippling river instead of high spikes and hard crashes, because it's a lot easier to make healthy choices when you, on a biological level, feel balanced. So instead of thinking about I can't have carbohydrates, because you can, absolutely. But I always teach people to put like 4 things on their plate first. And that's protein, fat, fiber, and greens. And those 4 things, they actually turn off 8 hunger hormones in the body. So if you were just to grab a green juice or a latte or like a granola bar, you're really not turning off all 8. So you're going to have that background noise of like, hey, what are we going to have for snack? Or, it's not that feeling of feeling the calm and the fullness that you would feel from eating the foods that turn off your hunger. And not only that, but those foods together, like fat will slow the digestion of that meal so it lasts longer till lunch. And fiber stretches your stomach, calms those hunger hormones, and also does the same thing. It lasts a little bit longer till lunch. So we have this elongation instead of like non-fat latte, which is mostly sugar, spike, crash. But when we're thinking it from a place of dieting or restriction, we think calories. And unfortunately, calories don't really tell you how you're going to feel throughout the day. Blood sugar does. And all the diseases that are plaguing us around the world, from insulin resistance, metabolic syndrome, prediabetes, diabetes, heart disease, hypertension, they're all starting from a place of imbalanced blood sugar. I mean, even down to PCOS and Alzheimer's are now strongly correlated to blood sugar imbalance. So what I love is the science. What other people might not love is the science. So I try to make it easy in the book for them to understand stories. What does it look like to find balance throughout your meals? And it wouldn't be deprivation. It wouldn't be holding the dressing on your salad. It would be looking at that salad and going, okay, I have like a bunch of cucumbers and leafy greens, and there's your like fiber and greens. And I've added maybe some salmon or chicken to that. And I've added some avocado. So I have the protein and the healthy fats. But if you're holding the avocado and holding the dressing, salad might last you only 90 minutes. And then again, you're thinking about food again. So you're, looking, and it really is taking that burden off people so that they can feel calm and relaxed and make those healthy decisions when it comes to meal time of how to add nourish, and then allow them to free up all this time to do what they're meant to do in this world, which, you know, might be giving back, might be being passionate about golf and starting a golf company. It's just amazing how much time people spend caring about having their body be perfect, caring about or obsessing about the food that they're eating and researching it. I definitely think there are ways to be really healthy, but I think it becomes unhealthy when we obsess. And I think when you start to nourish and think about nourishing and not thinking about calories or specific macros that your trainer gave you or any of that, and just think about adding and enriching, we can really get to this place where you feel really good about adding a yoga class to your life, maybe adding some healthy MCT oil to your smoothie or some greens to your smoothie. Then all of a sudden we're nourishing, and you don't care as much about the scale when you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah, that's a fascinating point. It's funny because there's like a long time ago when I was younger, I was very burdened by the pressures of this is how you have to be and like funny with food. And luckily I've let go of that. But it's just thinking about it, there is so many people out there that it's just an obsession how they feel about themselves and judging. This is kind of like a statement and a question really to you. I feel like we've got an idea of what, you know, attractive is and what we should be, right? Which is like slim models, whatever, toned, athletic, whatever. And I don't think that's fair to make everybody think that they have to conform into that. So then you've got people, I don't really know what the point I'm trying to make is. You've got people that are normal shapes and sizes, I guess. And so it's not about, so you get fat shaming, right? And people that give people a hard time for not being perfect and not being this size. But then if somebody is unhealthy, that we're not saying, but that's not something to aspire to be either. If it's not healthy, if you're not nourishing your body, if you're putting all this stress on there. So it's like, I don't even know what the point I'm trying to make is. What am I trying to say? Yeah, like, I don't even know. I don't know.
Well, that's okay. I mean, if I kind of am trying to understand what you might be saying, look, there's so many different shapes and sizes. There are so many different shapes and sizes, and we all have different frames and structures. Like I have wider hips than the majority of my actress clients that are put on TV. And yes, they are required to be, 120% of perfect, like they have all of these pressures and stressors to look and be the best. And, what's really empowering to me is when you start to see actors and actresses embrace their figure and they still look healthy, and that they look fit and they're taking care of themselves. I was really impressed with, not every line, but there were some athletic figures in Fashion Week this last year that I saw, like nice. Awesome muscles, shoulder muscles, and like biceps in what used to be a really waifed, skeletal type of a look, walking a runway. So I think we're moving that direction. I really do think it's important. And there's a lot of body love, advocates out there and women who are all about like embracing your frame. And for me, when I sit down with a client, one of the questions that I ask them is like, what are their goals? And if they have body composition goals and they give me a number or they give me a jean size, one of my, the questions that I ask is when was the last time you were there? Because if we're holding on to a number that we were in high school or junior high, and we were the same height then, it's like, you have estrogen and progesterone in your body. You have female hormones that have come in since then that are making you curvy, that are giving you that sex appeal. And that is sexy. Like you have to hold on to that and understand, like, are my goals realistic? Because here's the deal. I will be straight with a client, and it's only disservicing them if I commit to saying like, yeah, we can meet your goals. If I don't think that we can, and then it's a bigger conversation around like, why are we holding on to this number? It's just a number. And what can we do to bring you to a place of understanding what fit feels like and what for your frame? And I mean, even just in my process of working with clients, I'm more in love with my figure and my frame now than I was in college or in high school. And I'm 12 pounds heavier than I was in college and high school. But this is the size that when I eat clean and when I eat healthy, this is my frame and this is my figure. And it's so much better when you're living life from a place of body love.
Yes. Yeah. Wow.
So it's really just like resetting it's good to want to be your best. Don't get me wrong, but I think it's really one thing to know what is your fit range and maybe what is your like chunkier range, and can we get you to your fit range, and do you stay there naturally once you're eating clean?
Yeah.
Without the rules and the strict structure. It's really just light, structure, and fluidity.
Yeah. Well, your book sounds fascinating, and I definitely would encourage everybody to check out the Be Well. Is it a Facebook page and website that you have?
Yeah, so the website is bewellbykelly.com. My book is called Body Love, Live in Balance, Weigh What You Want, and Free Yourself from Food Drama Forever.
Yes.
Over the food drama. Over it.
Yeah.
So.
Well, yeah, I'll definitely be putting a link to all of that. Very cool stuff. Just quickly, I don't know if anybody has any questions for Kelly. Sometimes people get a little bit shy on these live streams. Sometimes they're all about commenting and sometimes they don't. So any questions? And one of the things that I wanted to ask is I feel like even if I sleep 8 hours, I'm very tired lately. And I don't know if that's a food thing. I probably have about 2 meals a day. I don't eat a lot. I have smoothies and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to not end up or drinking lots of coffee. So I was wondering if there's any recommendations on feeling more energized.
Absolutely. So a lot of times the energy that we have, like right when we wake up feeling like bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, has to do with the cortisol spike that happens in the morning. So a lot of people talk about cortisol like it's this really bad hormone. It's a really good hormone when it's basically following the correct curve throughout the day and you're spiking when you should be spiking and it's not chronically elevated. But it is a stress hormone. So if you're stressing out a lot or drinking a lot of caffeine and go, and then trying to turn it down at night, I would say that you might have elevated cortisol. And for that, if you had elevated cortisol, you might not be getting that really strong rush of cortisol in the morning that makes you wake up like you don't need coffee. So what we would call that's a circadian mismatch, because cortisol and melatonin are on a cycle together. So as cortisol calms down in the evening and you don't have as much, it's really spiking in the morning, then melatonin starts to happen. Melatonin is the sleep hormone. It's an antioxidant hormone. It washes your cells. You feel tired, you go to bed, and then you wake up with this surge of cortisol. So one of the things that you might want to do is check out adaptogens. So rhodiola or ashwagandha are great options. They're powders. You can put them in your smoothie or you can make a tonic at night. So these are Chinese herbs that are now kind of available in the mainstream. And they also come in pill form. So they're not synthetic. It's not a chemical. It's an herb. And what you would do is you take a few of those and they plummet the production of cortisol. So you would take it before bed so that you plummet cortisol and your body releases more melatonin. And then that way in the morning, because you've suppressed cortisol all night, you have more of an exaggerated spike where you'd wake up a little bit more alert.
That sounds very cool. I'll definitely try that. Say the names one more time of those herbs.
So rhodiola. RH, yep. And ashwagandha. A couple of companies that have these powders would be Sun Potion or Moon Juice. Gaia Herbs also does it in pill form. GAIA, I think.
Is that the Facebook page that have like videos and stuff?
Yeah, it's a food company, and I think they do a lot of video content.
Cool.
Yeah. So
wonderful.
I would give that a try.
Yeah.
The other thing is like try not to be on your computer and your phone super late at night. Those orange blocking glasses help your body produce more melatonin, and that'll really help with cortisol mismatch or circadian mismatch.
Yeah, that's definitely, I know that's a thing, like not being on devices like an hour or 2 hours before bed, getting better at working that. I have the thing that like dims the screen, but it doesn't necessarily stop me working for hours. But yeah, definitely going to try those herbs.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Kelly, this has been fantastic. So lovely talking to you, and thank you for sharing everything. It's awesome.
Pleasure to meet you too. I love everything that you're doing. It's really special that you're sharing so much positivity with the world.
Thank you. And I would like to be sharing more of your stuff. So do you do videos as well, or is it more just articles?
I write a lot of articles. I'm actually, I'm starting my Facebook video, like a Facebook video page. So it'll be like stocking the fridge, but I'm always open to do videos if you want to come.
Yeah. Well, no, we'd love to share them on Uplifting Content when you do, because you're great at speaking about all this stuff. So it'll be good to share them.
Okay, thanks.
Yay. Awesome. Well, thanks, guys. I will see you on Thursday for our next live stream. But see you soon, everybody. Bye.
Bye.